Dean and I are here on Substack Live because Islamophobia took over our Substack app algorithms. And literally, Dean couldn't find me and I couldn't find him. I'm like, damn it. But they cannot stop us, just like they can't stop Zoran Mamdani from becoming the next mayor of New York, the first Muslim American mayor of New York. I'm with Dean Obeidallah. You know him, you love him. He is the host of his own Sirius XM show. He is also on Substack. You have to subscribe. He is also the co-founder, and this will age us because we have the gray hairs, of the Arab American Comedy Festival, the first one that was the group Axis of Evil, which was created in the aftermath of the 9/11 terror attacks, and specifically the spike in Islamophobia when America decided to engage in its disastrous war on terror. And folks, like I've said before, I'll say again, you think we're done with the war on terror? The war on terror ain't done with us, because the war on terror brought us, Dean, the creation of ICE. It brought us the Patriot Act. It brought us these manufactured wars against Iraq and against Afghanistan and against Yemen. So much destruction, and the Islamophobia was mainstreamed. And Dean and I lived through it. We went through it, and it was then, if you will, parroted by Donald Trump in his attacks against Obama. Even liberals were very casual with it. I'll take him at his word that he's not a Muslim. And then Bill Maher, that racist piece of shit, you and me and a lot of others have said, hey, liberals, maybe you might want to challenge him on his open anti-Arab, anti-Palestinian, anti-Muslim bigotry. And liberals were like, no, no, no. We need a seat at Bill Maher's table. It's good for us. And plus, he's good on all the other stuff. And so the reason why I'm saying all this, Dean, is we have not confronted or uprooted the anti-Muslim bigotry that has been so rampant in the past 25 years. And now it is rearing its ugly head in the worst ways imaginable with the attacks on Zoran Mamdani. But the one positive is it ain't sticking. The New
No.
Yorkers are like, this is ugly and we're rejecting it. But I wanted your take on it because you've lived through this and you're a New Yorker.
Yeah, I'm a Jersey guy, really, but I live in New York City, and it's good to see you, my friend. The What happened is it was really a mistake, honestly. There's two sides to this. There's the human side where this is horrible. The political side is the miscalculation of Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo, especially, and Bill Ackman and the others who are funding the anti-Muslim super PACs out there against Iran. Is they made this a referendum on bigotry, not on policy, not on Zoran's experience or inexperience. They could have made headway in that he's only just turned 34. He's only been an assemblyman for 4 years. He doesn't have a record of policy accomplishments because he's a young guy. They could have leaned into that and maybe made some headway to the average voter who's like, you know what, maybe there's a concern there. But they made it all about hate. When you live for New Yorkers, everyone gets this is wrong. You don't want to be on the side of the bigots. So we've seen polling shift a little here and there, but the latest polls, Fox News and a Marist poll up 16, up 17, an Emerson poll up 25 points, where Zoran's sitting 25 points. So look, New Yorkers are rejecting the hate and the bigotry. That's important. It's not going to go away. My concern is that, as I wrote about for Substack last week, is they know they couldn't beat him. It was to incite hate and violence, specifically against him. And I was really concerned. But at the same time, I noted in my article, the NYPD is the best police force. It's the biggest police force, 35,000 strong. I have confidence they will keep him safe. But they don't care. They would sacrifice the life of Zoran Mamdani for their agenda, be it the billionaires or other people who have foreign policy agendas. Zoran talks about one thing, affordability. That's all the guy's running on. And everyone wants to talk about every other issue. He's about one thing, making New York affordable. And it's a lesson for Democrats nationwide. Affordability is a winner because things are getting too expensive.
And you said it right, that it's not just the Republicans. I've been saying this for a while. It's the entire establishment that sees him as a threat. And my concern is for his security and his health. They have tried to destroy this man. I mean, this
Yeah.
rampant anti-Muslim bigotry. Cuomo's running on it. The right wing's running on it. You're seeing now corporate media running on it, right? You saw Charlie Kirk doing it before he was killed by a white man, because they have nothing. They have nothing else left. They're like, we've thrown everything, and New Yorkers aren't rejecting him. So what should we do? Islamophobia. Zoran Mamdani is a brown-skinned man. He's 33 years old. He's an immigrant, and they're equating him, Dean, with the 19 foreign hijackers who brought down the two towers. And this is something which I want, in this young generation now, and even the older generation is like, this is disgusting. This is vile. This is gross. Dean, this is what the establishment has done to us for 25 years. Any Muslim or anyone who looks Muslimy or anyone who's Muslim adjacent who speaks out for Palestinians, who's against the war on terror, who has a political platform, a media platform, what happens to us, Dean? You tell
Well, look, I become Italian again, which I'm doing. Which I'm half Arab, half Palestinian, half Italian. But now I'm no longer Dean Obeidallah. I'm Dean Obeidallah from Jersey. How you doing, folks?
him.
That's
Hey,
right. Who's this
hey,
Wodger guy? What's this brown guy doing on my screen here? I don't know what's going on. The We've been through this before, and you make a great point that this anti-Muslim bigotry has been festering and growing underneath the surface. Trump weaponized it in the 2016 campaign, unlike we've ever saw. In 2024, he didn't use it as much because Jared Kushner got $2 billion from Saudi Arabia, and all of a sudden Trump's like, ban Muslims, $2 billion. I love these people. Allah Akbar, I love them. So Trump is so transactional, even in his bigotry, which is true, that he laid off us a little bit. And I'm not saying he's defended us, but he's laid off us. Others in his group have picked it up. But when you see Eric Adams, who's the mayor of New York, who's a Democrat, when you see Andrew Cuomo, who's a Democrat, go on Sid Rosenberg's show on WABC Radio here in New York and laugh and add more to the idea that he would cheer 9/11. It's despicable. And more Democrats should have denounced it. And I'm glad some Democrats, like Richie Torres, I'm no fan of, like APAC funded guy, he denounced it very clearly. So that's important for Democrats. We can disagree internally. There should be no room for bigotry. So look, and I just saw the worst commercial yet. Watch, it was on WPIX, which is a New York affiliate here. It was an independent candidate, not Cuomo, not Eric Adams, some guy I never heard of. And it showed 9/11. It showed people jumping from the buildings as if 200 people jumped to their death. And now Zoran Mamdani wants to be mayor of New York. And I'm like, wow, that is so bad. You probably added 5 more votes to Zoran's tally when people see that, because it was I was in a diner looking at it. It was jarring. It was despicable. But they're not hiding. It's not working. I don't get it. In what political world did they think this was going to work in New York City? This could work in another part of the country. Not here, where we have 1 million Muslims, over 1,000 Muslims serve in the NYPD.
there you
They
go.
protect Muslims, Americans, every day of all backgrounds. We have Muslims who are firefighters, paramedics, lawyers, Uber drivers, you name it. We're a part of the mosaic of this city. You can't go anywhere without, there's a Muslim everywhere. Everyone knows a Muslim. So it's not going to work here. Other parts of the country, it will work. And that's what worries me.
But you know what? The message that it sends, because Mamdani looks like you and me a little bit more than me
I like you. Yeah.
because of the Italian side.
Yeah.
His name is Mamdani. He is Muslim. He is brown skin. He is a son of immigrants. He is an immigrant. And you saw the entirety of the establishment. I'm glad you said it. It's Cuomo, who was a Democrat, now is independent, Eric Adams, Bill Maher, who just last week sided with Andrew Cuomo and regurgitated, this guilt by association. You saw the smear campaign where Fox News was so desperate, they brought out a photo of him with Imam Siraj and said, see, unindicted co-conspirator. And folks, I want you all to know that that unindicted co-conspirator status that was done in the aftermath of the war on terror. Republicans did that as a smear campaign against all these Muslim organizations and leaders. Unindicted co-conspirator. What does that mean? They weren't indicted.
Right.
But what deliberately was done by making them unindicted co-conspirator was a chilling effect, right? It neutralized them. These Muslim American imams, government leaders, and said, "CC, do you want to do business with an unindicted co-conspirator?" And so that's what Trump is doing, right, with these attacks on his critics, these lawsuits, right? It defames a person, it burdens a person, it makes a person seem toxic. What's interesting is they've gone all in. And by they, it's not just Republicans. I mean, Mayor Bloomberg just gave what $1 million to Cuomo just this week, right?
Yeah.
Bill Maher's gone all in. Bill Clinton went to support Cuomo. Originally, Clyburn did. The New York Times. What does it say then, Dean, to the rest of us who are watching the Democratic Party? As of October 31st today, Halloween, Schumer has yet to endorse Zoran Mamdani, who's about to crack 50. The
Mhm.
election's on Tuesday. Dean, what does it say to the rest of us about how the Democratic leadership views us?
Look, the one thing I will say is overwhelmingly the Democrats in New York, the leaders are supporting Zoran. There are others who have made their own agenda. And the reason why, watch, there's no backlash to not endorsing a Muslim. That's why if Zoran was the first Jewish American nominee of mayor of New York and you didn't support him, everyone would go like, this is anti-Semitism. He was the first black mayoral candidate who's the nominee, Democrat, and Democrats wouldn't support him. You say that's racism. But with us, there isn't that backlash. At least that's their old calculation. I think there is. I mean, look, Chuck Schumer is where's he going to go? Maybe one run for re-election one more time. That's it. The party. If you look at the breakdown of the polling right now, Zoran's leading in all five boroughs, including Staten Island. Now, to be truthful, there is Curtis Sliwa and Cuomo dividing that kind of right-wing vote. But of younger people under 50, overwhelmingly supporting Zoran. 18 to 34 years old, 60% are supporting Zoran because his message, it's not they're not voting for him because he's a Muslim or because of the beard or he's a fun guy. He's his fun guy, that's part of it. His message is the future for the Democrats, and it's the Wall Street corporate Democrats who want to reject it. They don't want change because they know how they get funded. They know how they moved up in the party. You know, Akeem Jeffries coming around at the end, at least he did that, but it took push and pull for the guy's the Democratic nominee. And like Tom Suozzi, who I know I went to law school with, is endorsing Andrew Cuomo. How do you endorse a guy who's been, by Biden's own DOJ, 13 women were sexually harassed by Andrew Cuomo? I went through the report. I had Lindsey Boland on my show, the first woman to come forward. He made it a toxic workplace. No Democrat should ever endorse him. If you don't want to endorse Zoran, that's one thing. But endorsing a sexual harasser, he's not a rapist, he's not like Trump, but harasser, serial harasser. There's no place for that as a Democrat. So some Democrats have lost their way, but they're the older skewing ones, to be honest, Waj. I mean, the future of the party is much brighter, much more embracive. And I'm a Democrat. I will call out Democrats in a second, though, when they're trafficking in bigotry or accepting sexism, and we have to. We're not corporate Democrats. I don't get funded by the Wall Street
Nope.
Democrat. We're going to call out the bullshit. That's the way it's got to be.
Yeah, and it's the way it's got to be, folks. And what Mamdani represents to me, Dean, is this crossroads for the Democratic Party, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Because he's young, he's a person of color. His message, and I'm so glad he said the key message, folks. Why are people who voted for Donald Trump voting for Mamdani? Affordability. The establishment is broken. The institutions don't work. We need reform, not restoration. We need to tax the billionaires. That is why they're willing to crush him. And my fear is it's not just the Republicans that once he wins, and inshallah, if he wins, the Democrats are going to do everything to undermine him, right? Because at the end of the day, he's a threat to their bottom line. Because I think there's now litmus tests for the Democratic Party and for Democratic leaders. You can no longer suck at the corporate teat. You have to call it out. And you're seeing them unable to do it. This is a problem I think I have with Gavin Newsom, which is why I don't think he has a long term, if you will, a future as a leader because he still sucks at the corporate teat. And what Zoran Mamdani has also exposed is a second litmus test for the Democrats is Israel-Palestine. This is a generation that has been radicalized in real time by genocide they've seen streamed on their phones. Dean, you're a Palestinian. You have family there. It's even
Yeah.
personal to you. But for many people, if it's not personal, they're like, why am I supporting this? And Zoran Mamdani said, I'm not going to suck the teat of Israel. I'm not going to give Netanyahu, pardon my language, a blowjob. I'm the mayor of New York. Why the F will I go to Israel? Did you guys see the debate? Everyone's like, where are you going to go to first? Disneyland? No, Israel, Israel, Israel. And Mamdani, great answer. New York. I'm going to be the mayor of New York. And that's the other threat because he called out the genocide, called out the occupation, he called out Netanyahu, and he said, yeah, I'm for justice and freedom for the Palestinian people.
This should be billed as the Haram Substack Live. It is very dirty. I'm kidding you. So mine are more halal, but whatever, folks. We're joking. This is like Muslim. And I should mention, everyone, wins or on wins, there will be Sharia law, but we're going to help you. Me and Waj can help. For no more BLTs, just LTs. Sorry, but
Yeah,
Turkey
we're the
babies
moderate
benefit.
Muslims who will help you for a price.
We will help you for a price. And not just four wives, four spouses, whatever you want, mix and match. It's going to be a great city. We have a lot of fun because he's very
Our
progressive.
Venmos will be open. If you want to be safe in New York City under Islamic law, just give me indeed a little bit of money.
That's right. Little, I am half Sicilian, so I can work that game pretty well. I got a lot of cousins we could talk to. You know what I'm talking about. So
And
here's the
I'm South Asian, so if you ever want an Uber ride again in New York, you got to be good to me.
you got a lot of things going on here. We've got the new mom. It's the Sicilian brown Pakistani Palestinian mom. Look, I've been Palestinian all my life. The issue has been watching the pain inflicted on Palestinians by Democrats and Republican administrations for my entire life, where people in our own community did not even demand Democrats give us a position on Palestine that was even humane because we never knew they would never do that before. But it evolved. And I'll say Bernie Sanders from years ago, 2016, talked about Palestinians in human ways that I never heard before in a presidential debate with Hillary right here in New York. Talked about Gaza as human beings in 2016 debate, and it began to build little by little. Then what we saw now with Gaza over the last 2 years, everyone's still on their phone. You can't gaslight people to say it's justified in any way.
Can't.
You want to right? You want to use genocide or not? That's your choice. Mass slaughter of civilians, women and children and men. Yeah, no one can deny that. And the infrastructure destructions by demand. I think Zoran's changed the game where he talks about, of course, this should be in Israel. It's not like no one had a problem with South Africa. It was the policies inside of apartheid South Africa that were the issue. We're saying get rid of South Africa. We're saying that the Israeli nation plus should respect the Palestinian people, and they have to evolve in terms of policy. And how we get there is by grassroots change, and that's happening. So he says it should be there, but equal rights for all, which is something Palestinians and Israelis, in theoretically, you would think would be fine. I know the reality, the idea of a Jewish state or not a Jewish state. It is a Jewish state. 80% of the country is Jewish, so it is a Jewish state. I don't know what people are talking about here. So it's a Jewish state, but we need a Palestinian state. And I'm really worried about Gaza. The plans to ethnically cleanse are not done. The West Bank, where my family is for generations, for the first time ever, we have settlers now trying to drive them from their land when they go to harvest the olive trees. My grandmother's land was already stolen by settlers decades ago. Now they're coming for other parts of their land. They've never been more emboldened. They want to turn the entire West Bank into like the settlements, Jewish only. They want to get rid of the Christians and the Muslims. It's important we make sure people understand there are hundreds of thousands of Palestinian Christians living in Bethlehem area, the West Bank, within Israel and Nazareth area. They are suffering as well. It's not Jew versus Muslim. It's the extremist Netanyahu Jewish supremacists against Christians and Muslims or anyone who's not them. So this is not a mainstream Jewish view. This is the view of the extremists who run the government in Israel right now. So that's what we're dealing with. People understand it is a supremacist movement, just like we have white supremacists. These are religious supremacists. If they elected Labor Party members or more centrists that in Israel, you wouldn't have that. It's not inherent in Judaism to be a supremacist. It's not inherent in white people to be supremacists. But we have both. We have Christian nationalists. The same thing is the equivalent of Jewish nationalists in Israel now running their government. And they're still coming from my family's land. They want them out of the West Bank. Ben Gvir and Smotrich and the administration are openly, they've had votes just recently to annex the entire West Bank. The next is removing the Christians and Muslims there against the will. That's what they want. They're not hiding it. American media
Yeah.
doesn't report it, but that's what they want. It's greater Israel. The dreams never ended. The Likud party's platform literally says to have a Jewish state between the river and the sea. They're the ones that took river and the sea long before many Palestinians were chanting it. It was the Likud party's literally in writing in their platform. People can Google it, you'll see it. I will only tell you the truth on the Middle East. I want people to know the truth, and from there, let's try to build a coalitions for humanity. That's my goal. It's for
And
humanity of
they
both
don't
people.
They don't hide it, folks.
No.
Benjamin Netanyahu does not hide his Jewish supremacist agenda. He shows you the maps. The Likud party has not hidden it. There's no two party ever, anything, talking points on the Likud website. His Jewish supremacist base, which keeps Netanyahu in power and keeps him from facing accountability, are led by people like Ben Gvir, the national security minister, who was indicted for terrorism in
He's
Israel, who is
convicted.
openly a settler,
He's
giving
convicted.
out was convicted, excuse me, giving out
Convicted in
machine
Israeli
guns
court.
to violent sellers, a Smotrich, his finance minister, who says his own words, I am a Jewish supremacist and a proud homophobe, openly using genocidal language, the Israeli security cabinet openly voting that they will take control of Gaza City and move the Palestinian people. The former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert openly saying that these are war crimes. Another former Israeli Prime Minister saying that yeah, they're moving Palestinians to not camps, but he said his words, concentration camps. Right. So you're seeing it. The evidence of your eyes, trust the evidence of your ears, and increasingly something that Dean and I, with our gray hair, I never thought I'd see this is that a majority of Americans now are now pro-Palestinian, folks. There's been a 48-point shift. A majority of Americans, and especially the Democrats, are saying enough to supporting this Jewish supremacist state that is engaging in apartheid, occupation, and genocide. And you're seeing a split, Dean, which is a remarkable split within the Republican movement,
Yeah.
where Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, these are odious people, Nick Fuentes, Thomas Massey, see where the wind is shifting. And with their America First agenda, like, why are we supporting Netanyahu? And so Mamdani is actually at the forefront with a progressive message that can actually win over so many people, Dean, who are fed up with the establishment, who aren't Democrat or Republican or independent. But he realizes this is a major issue. And based on principle, I'm going to go 10 toes down and say, no, I'm going to stand with humanity. I'm not going to throw the people under the bus. And the Democratic leadership, all they have to do is literally read the room. Look at your base. Your base
Right.
overwhelmingly does not want you to support this war. And remember what Kamala and Biden did? Shut up. You shut up about this and you vote for us because the other guy's Trump. And it didn't work.
Vote blue. Remember, vote blue no matter who, unless you're Muslim. That's the exception. See, a lot of people in our community are getting that, and people, right or wrong, and I'm trying to have a nuanced conversation here, but in our community, there's a sense that Muslims were taken for granted, Palestinians especially weren't cared about. And you mentioned those horrible people before, and in the negative light they deserve. That we don't agree with them; they are agreeing with us. I don't care. I want nothing to do with Nick Fuentes, Tucker, and all those pieces of garbage. But it's interesting, though, that they are representing what's happening in the base because they're doing it for whatever financial reason or political reason. They understand their own base is moving towards this view of seeing what's going on in Gaza. And I think the way you call for some Christians bluntly was in the two times churches were bombed by the Israeli military where Christians were sheltering. The Pope denounced them sniper fire killing Christians in the church.
That's right.
There have been Christians in a church in Gaza for years. Justin Amash, a former member of Congress, a
That's
Republican,
right.
his cousins were killed in the church sheltering, and they were Palestinian Christians. And all of a sudden, there were other Christians going, "Oh, our people are suffering too." And the idea that Netanyahu wants us to be Muslim versus Jew, it's not. It's the average person coexist. My fiance is from Haifa. She's Israeli citizen, a Palestinian. Her building, Jews, Christians, Muslims live together. That's human nature. That's how we live. When you have the extremists in power, though, that's who's setting the tone and that's setting policy in Israel. You've got, so that's the situation. Things are changing. I'm glad some people actually like Palestinians now. People are like, "Oh, you're Palestinian. That's nice." I'm like, I'm not comfortable now with you saying nice things about me. Like, I'm like, this is weird. I'm used to like a very like an awkward silence. Like, "Oh, you're but you're also Italian, right? Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. I love pizza." I'm like, "Okay, thank you." So it's it's evolved. I'm hopeful the policy changes going forward. It's the people got to live together. There's almost an equal number of Palestinian Christians and Muslims and Israeli Jews in the land from the river to the sea. No one's driving anyone into the ocean. No one's
No.
going to kill them all. No one can cleanse them all. They have to live together. Maybe God has smited both people. I don't even know at this point. They have to find a way to live together. And the policy before of the U.S. backing everything the Israeli government's done has not helped either people. It is not. It's not given no security to the Israelis that are real, and it's giving horrificness to the Palestinians. A different way forward might result in a different place on the ground for the people to live, and however they're going to live together. One state, two state federation, EU, 9 states. I don't know the answers anymore. We got to get a place where there's justice, and that's going to lead us to peace. I hope.
I completely agree. No one's going back, folks. We're all in
Go
this
back.
together, and we have to find a way forward together. I ain't going back. Dean isn't going back. Italians aren't going back. Palestinians aren't going back. Zoran Mamdani is not going back, and the majority isn't going back. And young Jews in New York are supporting Mamdani not in spite of, but because of his views on Palestine and because of his values that are for justice and peace for everyone. And that's my view. That's Dean's view. It's always been that view. And it's time for the Democratic leadership and for the establishment to come around to the fact that we're about to have our first Muslim American mayor of New York City, and things will be delicious and halal, and we're going to live under Sharia law. No, I'm just kidding. Uh,
No, no Sharia. They're
folks,
going to take this out of context.
yeah,
Muslims joke about Sharia. Sharia is not coming, just so it's clear. The not Muslim version, the Christian version's already in 12 states where they ban abortion
yeah,
on day one of conception, and they want to do that across the country. That's a different form. It's not really Sharia, but it's the same idea,
yeah.
folks.
If you're
So
worried
everyone,
about that, you should worry about Christian nationalism, folks.
yeah.
That's the real threat. It ain't us, 1% of the population. It's Christian nationalism. I'm going to let Dean go, but before I do, folks, um, I've been very lucky to have a sponsor for the first time of the show. I don't take any corporate sponsorships. I don't promote myself, but Ground News has come on, and Ground News is a fantastic resource. It supports allies such as Mehdi Hassan of Zeteo, the IHIP ladies, Jess Craven, Qasim Rashid. And Ground News was started by a South Asian woman, a NASA scientist, as an aggregator of world news, but also an auditor of world news. So you actually know the bias of the news outlet and also who funds those news outlets and also does a compare and contrast. And the reason why it's so good is because with Zoran Mamdani, you see the right wing attacks and framing against Mamdani versus the world. And it has this fantastic, if you will, this section called Blind Spot that allows you to see literally the right versus the left or the center left, the majority, if you will, around the world and how they view certain issues. So Ground News is partnering with the Left Hook, and I told them I'm doing this video with Dean, and they were very excited. And so I'm going to give a little. There you go, groundnews.com/hook for all the people who are watching the Left Hook, and also Dean Obeidallah's fans right now. You get 40% off if you go
Really?
to that
Can we
partnership with Ground
haggle?
News.
Can we get it down to 50? I give you 50%, my friend. Habibi.
Yeah, I give you
50% is the
50%,
best I do.
50%. Uh,
50%.
so it's
60%.
Ground News. I don't know if you all saw that. I tried to put it in there. It's groundnews.com/hook. Groundnews.com/hook. 40% off. I'm only partnering with them because I talked to them. I researched it. They're doing great work. You get to audit the news. You get to see who funds it. You see the bias. It's a great aggregator, and they support a lot of my friends and allies doing fantastic work. And then finally, I want Dean to shamelessly promote
Right.
himself and something very important, the Arab American Comedy Festival.
Well, first of all, congratulations on your sponsor. I don't have a sponsor, so if you're looking to adopt a Muslim, I'm available, folks. I'm available for a very low price food. I will work for food, especially if you want to adopt a Jersey, Sicilian, Palestinian Muslim. I'm the rare unicorn Muslim, and I look kind of white, so I can
He's the
pass.
best Muslim.
I'm like I can pass everything. I can do a lot of accents. All right. So the New York Arab American Comedy Festival, I co-created with my friend Mason Zayed. It's our 22nd year, November 13th to 15th here in New York City, and it's at Joe's Pub at the Public Theater downtown. It's all halal alcohol. No, it's wondering. It's fun for everyone. We have 6 shows, over 25 comedians from all over the country, including one from Canada, or two from Canada, one from Australia. And the lineup of comics that are on the edge of making the next level. In the past, Rama Yusuf used to be a regular in the show. Mo Ammer was involved in our festival. All these comics, they're huge in spite of us. And now they're doing great. The website for tickets is arabcomedy.com. That's arabcomedy.com. It's not a religious festival, all different religions in it. A lot of us are Muslim, but Christian, Jewish, atheist, Buddhist. It's a celebration of being Arab, and it's good times and bad. And this is a challenging one because of what's going on with Zoran. So I hope people check it out. If you're in New York area, November 13th to 15th, right here in New York City.
Yeah, it's fantastic work, and they've been doing it for a while, and it's very important, especially now, especially with the crackdown on pro-Palestinian voices, especially with the rampant Islamophobia. Maysoon indeed have been keeping it going, and it's at Joe's Pub, which is a great hub for comedy. Folks, thank you for joining us, Dean. I know I kept him a bit longer.
Oh, it's
It's the
fun.
first
Take care.
time he was actually a guest on someone's Substack, so
I
it took me
know.
forever to get him on, but I finally got him on, and I really wanted to promote his comedy festival. And I think to have two Muslims speak before the Muslim takeover of New York, we kid, we love. And I'm going to have Ben Ferguson on in 1 minute. Ben Ferguson, the actor of the OC, is actually one of the most trenchant and smart critics of the crypto grift. He's written a book and has a
Wow.
documentary. So come back in 1 minute. And for those who joined us late, the nearly 1,200 people, this will be up on my Substack and Dean's Substack. Please subscribe. I'm a terrible capitalist. Everything's for free. Be kind to each other, be informed, vote, and don't be a fascist. Thanks, Dean.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.